On a rooftop high above New York City, the temperature hovers around 180 degrees.
180, that's the highest temperature I've seen on roofs.
But just a few feet away, in these plants, it's a relatively cool 110.
Oh, look at that. You've shaved off 70 degrees.
This is what's called the urban heat island effect, when everything from buildings to sidewalks to rooftops and roads absorb the sun's heat and trap it.
138 approximately.
That's pretty intense already. Then there's the added heat generated by traffic, air conditioners, and even people's own body heat.
The accumulation of the heat in the city has trouble leaving the city at night.
Without adequate green space to help cool the atmosphere, highly populated urban areas essentially become their own overheated microclimates.
It's completely man-made. It's the way we've transformed the landscape in cities. We've transformed it about as profoundly as you can.
In New York, the overnight low was 77 degrees, while an hour away it was a cool 60. Boston was 74, while suburban Andover was 61. Washington, D.C. dipped to 77, while nearby Alexandria dropped to 69.
As we talk about vegetation, it just drops dramatically. 105, 106.
Dr. Stuart Gaffin and his Columbia University students are studying the cooling effects of planting on rooftops.
With green roofs, we've discovered the equivalent of the street tree.
After nearly a decade of research, he believes it's possible to undo what man has done.
These services are just sitting there, waiting to harbor vegetation and do their job.
Now, here in Times Square and in other places around New York City, the professor says there is enough roof space where gardens could do the work of more than 20 tree-filled central parks. That, Katie, could make a difference on a day like today.
Elaine Quijano, thanks very much, Elaine. Of course, the heat can be very dangerous, and one of our viewers suggests via Facebook, perhaps it would be helpful if you could go over a list of symptoms, causes, and precautions for heat stroke. So our medical correspondent, Dr. John LaPook, is here to do just that. John?
Katie, heat stroke is a serious condition that requires immediate medical attention. Okay, most at risk, the very young, the elderly, those with underlying medical conditions. Now, the symptoms include a high temperature, usually over 103, nausea, dizziness, headache, confusion, even loss of consciousness. Prevention: avoid the sun. Best just stay inside in air conditioning. Stay hydrated with water or electrolyte drinks. Avoid alcohol and sugary drinks because they can actually dehydrate you, and wear a hat and light, loose clothing. And Katie, I'm going to give you two tips. One is when you wake up, you're dehydrated. You've been asleep all night. You haven't been drinking water, but you've been evaporating water. So first thing in the morning, drink plenty of fluids. And second, an important warning sign, if you're not sweating when you expect to, your body can't sweat if it doesn't have enough spare fluid.
All right. Dr. John LaPook. John, thanks very much for those tips.